This session's titled Driving Video Views and Engagement with SEO and Social Media. And I'm Mark Robertson. I'm founder of RealSEO.com. We write about online video and video SEO quite a bit. I wanted to start off by showing a couple slides with some recent research talking to the power of social and search for video. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's pretty loud. So this is some research done just recently, released by TubeMogul and Brightcove. And what it shows here is that year over year, the search referrals to video content have increased. And it represents almost 65% of all referrals to video, which is the strongest source for referrals to video content. So search is clearly powerful at driving views for your videos. Not only that, but the length viewed per video from search referrals is increasing. And that really just speaks to, in my belief, the increase in relevancy, the fact that the video search engines are doing a better job of serving the right results to the right viewers. And across all the positions on a Google organic search result page, videos with thumbnails generate the highest click-through ratios of any result, which is great actually because click-through rates are monitored within search engine results pages. So if somebody clicks on your result, Google realizes that, and over time that listing will increase in ranking. And because video generates higher click-through ratios, that's just great for SEO. I wanted to show a quick video. This is Bruce Clay. He's a very well-known SEO expert, one of the first SEO experts out there, and he talks real briefly about the power of video. Let's hope the volume works here.
Well, the real question is video and how we deal with video relative to SEO, which clearly is important to us and all of our clients. The portion of video we classify as one of something called an engagement object. It's elements you add to your website that are very engaging, causes the users to become involved with the website. An example of it was actually Google Universal Search. In Universal Search, based upon the interests on these multimedia components, Google would either insert images or insert video or insert books or blogs or news or maps. All of those are engaging for the end user. It's something to click on, something to see more about, something to hear. And in the case of video, we believe that as one of the more important engagement objects, Google has actually started to build it into the algorithm. To us, that means if your website has engagement objects on it, video or MP3 or any of the other items, news, blogs, etc., it is going to be received by the algorithm better, and your site will actually have an opportunity to rank better.
So what he's saying is even beyond optimizing video for search, just the fact that you have video on your pages is going to help with SEO. So that's great news. Skip that. This is again from that research study by TubeMogul and Brightcove, and just shows that in terms of length viewed, social media drives the longest viewing times, and clearly that's because we're more likely to watch a video through completion when our friends refer that to us. And this is, we're not here to talk too much about YouTube, but just as an illustration of how powerful social is for video content, here's some stats directly from them. Increased 2.5 times year over year in terms of the amount of video that's shared on Facebook. And 300% year over year the number of tweets for video content. What I found was really interesting is that every tweet on YouTube or off YouTube for a video results in 6 new video sessions. So what that means for you is that if we can optimize for search, optimize for social, we're going to see more length on site, we're going to see better search engine results, and we're going to see additional video views just from social. So obviously there's a bit of power there. And so let's get to introductions. First off, we had a little bit of an update this morning in that Aparna from Google was unable to attend. But we have some great esteemed panelists here, so I'll go ahead and let Josh start with an introduction.
Hi. My name is Josh Warner. I'm president of Feed Company. We're a video seeding company located in Los Angeles. We were are the first US-based video seeding company. We launched in early 2007. We've seeded over 300 video campaigns for various brands, Ford, Gillette, Microsoft, Levi's, Ray-Ban, Haagen-Dazs, and the list goes on and on. And that's what we do.
Let me show this quick video about you guys.
Audio should be coming up here.
Definitely some campaigns I remember. Everybody remember the Kevin Bacon Google TV commercial?
Yeah.
That's a great one. All right, well, next up is Patrick, who's VP of Marketing and Distribution for Funny or Die.
Yep, I'm the head of marketing for Funny or Die. I think most people know Funny or Die as a comedy video destination site started by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, but we've actually grown into a 21st century digital studio now producing content for television, movies. We're getting into publishing and merchandising, so kind of growing into a media company.
Great. And then Greg, who's the Director of Product Marketing at Bright Cove.
Hi, thanks. Greg LaRoche. Many of you may know Bright Cove, but for those who don't, we're a cloud content services company. We provide online video platform services that help you publish, monetize, manage video, and also offer a content application platform for mobile apps. And we also have a really short video clip here that kind of shows what we do and how that can be applied to social media and the social dialogue in particular, as well as search.
So what else can we do with video?
be sponsoring Anthony Boyd in the Pacific Tour. Come on in, Anthony. Good to see you. We're also very excited to be presenting for the very first time in the history of this race, exclusive video coverage of the event, streaming live on our website as well as our Facebook page. State 4 has been particularly challenging for at least 10 of the riders. State 5 of this competition comes to a close. Jenkins, Hawkins, and Otis Ryder Boyd maintain their lead. And here he is. It appears Boyd is 2 bike lengths ahead. Boyd in the lead. He's got the lead. Hawkins has it. No, not in front. Boyd crosses the line. Anthony Boyd, winner of the Pacific Tour. Yes.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in here. That's a pretty nice video, by the way. Let's get back to the... All right, so I thought we'd start with search and SEO. I think there's some important differences to understand with regard to how video search works versus other searching text, et cetera. And maybe we could start with you, Greg. How does search differ when you're talking about video search versus text?
Sure, and I think some of this is changing, as you were saying in your opening remarks, but I think in general, you know, the technology that is used to present a video experience is fundamentally different than text. So I think a lot of times the search engines have grappled with that. I think they're getting better at it, of course. But as implementers and publishers of video, what a lot of our customers are doing is trying to find workarounds and ways to actually you know, make their video implementation and the video experiences they're providing on their web properties and their mobile experiences more search friendly, and that definitely can be done. And there are a lot of techniques that can be used to make the videos more search friendly and more discoverable in terms of the implementation. But again, the background to that as well, we hope also at the same time the search engines themselves are getting smarter and better at finding and categorizing and ranking you know, video experiences also. So I think in the end, it's all good news. I think there are ways you can do it properly in a way that's very discoverable, but also at the same time that the search engines will get there, I think.
And Patrick, what have you guys had to do differently for SEO in general versus, you know, optimizing and getting your videos in search? They have about 100,000 videos indexed in Google right now.
Yeah, obviously we've always focused on optimizing our videos for search, and we've kind of grown up with Google as they've become better at crawling and categorizing our videos to be found. Just in the last year or so, we're starting to see more of our thumbnails pop up for search categories, which obviously helps us in our click-through rates in search. You know, in terms of what we do, I think it's really, you know, the basic stuff. We write really strong titles, keyword rich, good description, good metadata. Our entire page is optimized for the Google crawler to come through. We make sure that it's easy to read and it makes sense. And then also, our players are all embeddable. So we made a decision early on that we were actually going to build our player from the ground up and not use someone else's technology. And that's really helped us out because every time someone embeds our player, those are links back to our site, and we use anchor text to actually get the right kind of search back. So when we do a video with Justin Bieber, Perez Hilton embeds our video, there's a link back with anchor text that says, see more Justin Bieber content. Within 10 days, you know, we're showing up in search for video for Justin Bieber.
Yeah, no, that's an incredible tip and strategy is if you can, within your embed code, include a link back, you know, that every time someone embeds it, obviously there's a link, so that's important. What about you, Josh? I know you've done a lot of SEO, more in particular, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but for YouTube videos, but there's quite a bit of similarity.
Yeah, that's right. Our focus is on YouTube, and we're taking video content that for major brand advertisers that's more entertainment than commercial. Brand advertisers aren't coming to a video seeding company to do pre-roll or post-roll. They're coming to us so we can distribute across mobile, across social networks, across targeted websites, across all social channels, online to drive views and engagement around branded video content. In that regard, YouTube is our focus, and we have a particular challenge in that sometimes we're working on campaigns that last 4 weeks, and sometimes we're working on campaigns of multiple videos, and we've done this a lot for Ford Motor Company, Ford Focus, Ford Explorer, multiple brands and lines within the Ford Motor Company, and also for Levi's and Gillette, where we're working on multiple videos amongst a branded content series over a longer period of time. But when you're working on a shorter time frame, there's real challenges, with SEO to get a really positive search result. What Patrick is saying about the simple stuff, descriptive titles and tags and keyword rich is absolutely right. Sometimes it's the simple stuff that is the hardest to do, really, in getting it right. But one of the things that we always counsel our clients to look at is to make sure that you're actually describing what the video is about, and that there's a sense of transparency and honesty attached to that. Because earlier on, back in the day, and we've all had different days, like what time period that is, but back in the day there was a lot more tricks. You could kind of let's fool somebody to click on our video. Well, those days are gone, thankfully. And for example, for the Levi's video, we've been behind some of the biggest brand virals for Levi's. Guy backflips into jeans. That's the title. I mean, you saw the video, it's a guy backflipping into jeans. So you have to, a guy walks across America. Okay, that was a guy walking across America. So we call it like we see it. We title as if somebody is actually going to see this video, on Twitter, on Facebook, on a blog, hear about it from a friend, and he's on his iPad in a coffee shop, and he's like, oh, I want to search for that guy that walks across America. So that's descriptive and creative titling and tagging and packaging.
I think there's less of an opportunity on YouTube unless you're a partner to choose your thumbnail, but thumbnails are incredibly important in video search. And in fact, one of the things, and I know Google's not here to talk about this, but that differs a lot between video search and text search is that text, people tend to go to Google, search for something, click on it, go back and refine their search multiple times. And with video, what we tend to find is they'll find the video, they'll go to that destination site like a YouTube, and then they'll browse from there. And so, thought that was interesting.
Well, yeah, and that's where it gets into the whole strategy around related videos. Right. You really want to package for a good related video strategy. We had a client recently who, for whatever reason, they wanted to have SmackDown in their title because the creative was kind of a faux viral of a robber a puppet thwarting a robber in a convenience store, and they wanted the whole term of SmackDown. Puppet smacks down a robber, and we were like, well, that might be a really descriptive title for print, for print or whatever, but you're going to have all these wrestling videos come up in related search, and it's not going to be that's the importance of related videos. You want to populate your search result on YouTube with related videos that are either linked to other videos that you've worked on within the campaign, so there's always a strategy around that, or related videos not related to your campaign but will give a good contextual impression. So there's lots of different strategies.
Yeah. So Greg, I kind of touch on this with some research that you guys put out, but in terms of social versus search, what's the difference in terms of the audience and their behavior and viewing? Maybe you could elaborate a bit on that study.
Yeah, I think the most telling statistic from that whole group is the length of engagement that's observed from videos that are referred through social media. So, kind of like you were saying in your comment, if you get it makes sense. If you get a referral from someone within your trusted network, of course you're going to watch that video on average longer or through completion, which is ideally what you want for driving more engagement with your content. So, social media becomes very important in that way. And although if you look at search in the aggregate, there's probably more searches going on than there are social referrals, but you're going to get a little more bang for your buck with the social referral. So it's important to consider both sides of that in your strategy and making sure you have the right content and it's implemented the right way so that all those things can happen, like the social dialogue can happen and the search results can occur. And and there's a lot of things to keep track. There's a lot of devil in the details kind of things to watch out for. But I think when it's well implemented, you can get some fantastic results and see that in real business outcomes, which is the important thing, right?
Yeah, Patrick, I mean, you run a pretty large video library, video site, and so you get to track a lot of that's coming in. Do you see difference in audience behavior when they come in from social or search?
Yeah, definitely. I think so from a search point of view, you have someone out there actively looking for a piece of content, right? So they search for Will Ferrell, they find the landlord video. That might not necessarily be exactly what they're looking for, but that's when related videos for us really comes as an important key strategy, because they'll click on it, they'll watch the landlord video, then hopefully our related search algorithm is showing them more Will Ferrell stuff. So that brings them deeper into Funny or Die and makes us a little bit more sticky, as opposed to social, where it is a referral thing, right? And the way we look at that is we want someone to watch that video because it was referred to them by one of their friends, but then I don't necessarily need them to stay and watch another Will Ferrell video. I want them to take that video and then share it with their friends, right? I want the exponential value of what social gives us, so more and more people come rather than, I mean, obviously I'd like them to stay longer, but more I want to give them the tools to be able to take that video and then share it with their group of friends.
So is there a different strategy on that landing page for one or the other? I mean, do you detect refers from one source or the other and sort of change the way that appears or functions?
I wish we did. We're not that sophisticated, but I'm sure you guys have.
Yeah, at least for the videos that at Feed Company that we see, we embed, we use a customized YouTube embed that's totally compliant with the YouTube's API, and we're able to customize that with sharing overlays for Facebook and Twitter, and even links to microsites. So we're always looking, for the sharing capability, of a particular player. And for us, it's YouTube, just because blogs and users and targeted websites, and everybody's accepting of that player. They recognize it, they're comfortable with it, and that's why we're about social video. So we're using the most social player out there for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you do a lot of paid seeding, and maybe it'd be worthwhile just briefly explaining that, but does that have an impact on search down the road or on social beyond once that engagement's done?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we use a variety of tactics to drive views and engagement around brand video content, and that includes an earned component and a paid component. The earned component is grassroots marketing tactics, reaching out to influencers, giving them access to special content, if there's a celebrity involved or some type of a reward involved, reaching out to hundreds of blogs among different verticals, really finding what are the hooks within a particular video. And we're known for working with the more creative agencies and brands, and they're really committed to coming up with content that users are interested in. But video seeding is all about choice. We started Feed Company because we believe users should have choice about which videos they watch. And that's why we don't do any force views. It's all user initiated. So you have to package, for us and for our clients, we have to package creatively and effectively. We've got to find the hooks and the audiences that are interested, because everybody has to choose to watch the video. So we have to do our job or we don't get paid. But there is a paid component to the majority of our campaigns, but the mix calibrates. When you get a bike hero, or when you get a Levi's Rear View Girls, where you're going to get a lot of earned views by getting it to the right blogs. That PR in that case is going to be it's going to be even a bigger piece than the syndicated piece. So you have an earned piece and a syndicated piece. Syndicated often is our base, where we're going out and we're getting a base level of secure placements among on different platforms, and we do that so the video is at a certain base level, and then we'll go out with the earned. Not then we go out. Often it's the same time, and often it's staggered. It varies on a campaign basis, but we use multiple tactics and we calibrate them based solely on the creative. If it's more engaging, less required on the paid side.
Well, that's a good segue too. I know I'll ask Greg here to start, but in terms of content strategy, the types of video that you focus on for search versus social, do you see a big difference there? Is it one way or the other?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of points in that question I'd think about, and one is the mix of content types and how you can drive either additional audiences or even additional quantity of content for folks to find and view. And that might include live events, for example, which we haven't talked about yet. But here you have the opportunity to bring something very timely and compelling to your audiences through your social media channels and your main web properties and other ways, affiliated sites, or however you want to distribute that live content. And and here you have something that's very timely and compelling and has a very short lifespan in most cases, but it's a great way to drive the social dialogue, and so it's a very particular type of content that works into your overall strategy. Then of course you want to have, in general terms, you'd want to have things that are kind of viral and edgy and fun, going out through your YouTube distribution or your less formal distributions, but also, if you're in the game to build brand and drive a business outcome through an internet experience with your users or your partners, and you really want to get them back to your site at some point and get them to watch more content there, and you want to make sure, there you have, related videos, of course, but also other things that are driving towards a wanted business outcome. So if you want someone to buy your product, or you want them to tell their friends about something, or you want to drive your message, tell your story, whatever reason you have for using video, you can lay that out in such a way, using different types for different purposes. So kind of back to the question, if you're doing really firing well on all cylinders, you've got video very appropriate for sharing and viral proliferation. You've also got video that's going to drive conversion somewhere else, and you've also got live events in your mix that are expanding your audience and stimulating a social dialogue. All that stuff working together is very powerful, and we have lots of customers that are doing that kind of stuff all together in a very synergistic way that really drives a tremendous amount of views and engagement for them on their main properties as well as on their outlying properties like YouTube and other sites. So.
And are there any of your customers that are not, do they all distribute all of their video content in both ways? Are they trying to optimize every piece of video, or do they tend to focus on one particular type of content?
I think it depends on the destination site it's intended for in a lot of cases. So, if you really want, if you want people to find you, or interact with your brand or your product, and you want to do that out in a very large audience site like a YouTube kind of destination, And you're going to have very specific kind of content for that. And that's not the same content you're going to run on your main properties, right? There you're going to run stuff that's much more heavily branded and more driving towards the kind of outcome you want for the business. Where you may not be transacting business on YouTube, but it's a great way to reach a bunch of people and drive them back to your site where they can transact with you. And that's that's a very common strategy we're seeing with a lot of e-commerce companies doing that. We also see a lot more companies, even in technology and a lot of other sectors, creating what we call a TV experience on their main web property, where their brand now becomes a layback TV consumption model, where folks can hit their property and view all their content in a very kind of channel-centric way. They have different channels for different types of topics, and it's very searchable internally. And so you're kind of creating a mini environment for all of the video you want people to consume. That's been a very common and successful strategy for a lot of companies. So then again, the content you put there is going to be different than the stuff you're going to want to distribute more widely in other destinations.
Yes, I mean, you brought up a good point, which is YouTube, and I should mention, if everyone doesn't know, it's the second largest search engine in the world. They have more search queries just for video content than Yahoo, about 1 billion more, and it's the second most visited social site. So it's sort of the best of both worlds. And Patrick, I'm kind of curious, with Funny or Die, do you guys have a different strategy in terms of what you put up on YouTube, or is it?
Yeah, so for the longest time, we didn't have a YouTube strategy. We definitely took a walled garden approach for a number of reasons. One, we wanted to build the Funny or Die brand. We didn't want people to get confused that's just another Will Ferrell YouTube video. And then also from a search perspective, we wanted to be, found in search. But after we felt like we've established the brand and we felt that we were actually a strong page rank and that we were showing up for enough search terms, we started our YouTube channel, just because the audience is undeniable, and was a great way to actually expose our brands to an even wider audience. But in terms of what we do to protect ourselves from YouTube, is we take a windowing strategy. So any video that goes on Funny or Die, it doesn't go on our YouTube channel for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then it only stays up there for probably 5 to 6 months, and then we pull it down. And then we don't put our really big videos, like the landlord's not up there, any of the Between Two Ferns, because we don't ever want to compete with YouTube in the search results, because they'll beat us,
Yeah, I mean,
even though Google says they won't, but.
Well, for entertainment content, yeah, YouTube will beat you, but.
Right.
If there are other publishers or content owners out here who may be reluctant to dive deep in YouTube, Patrick, have you seen a big difference in terms of?
Yeah. Do you have a different?
What have you seen in terms of your YouTube strategy, in terms of its effect on your site? Like, after you did this, I'm sure you were worried about less views on your own videos. Have you seen any of that happen, or?
Yeah, no, it hasn't cannibalized our video views at all. We've actually been growing ever since we started our YouTube channel. So I think the strategy has been working in terms of people getting more exposed, and we have referrals to Funny or Die from our YouTube channel, and all of our social media channels also have referring links there. So it's been a great way to actually increase our awareness to a wider audience.
Yeah. What about, and Greg, I'll start with you again. What about mobile? Is there a different strategy or different thoughts you need to put into optimizing video for mobile versus, your website?
Well, I think for search, there's some important considerations. Considering the way content is going to be consumed on a mobile device, it's most likely going to be either through an app experience or through a touch web or a browser-oriented experience. And so those both have very different search implications. And in general terms, the web-based experience is going to be far more search-friendly than the app, which will be fairly invisible to search. So it's important to think about that as you're building out your mobile strategy. How important is the discovery aspect, and as well, how engaging or how intimate do you want to build that relationship during the usage of your the exposure to your media, because an app experience, for example, takes a lot more advantage of the capabilities of the device, and it can do a lot more. It's much more performant, and so there are a lot of advantages there, but you're obviously going to have a trade-off with discovery. So, I think in general terms, yeah, the content may be the same content, but I think you really have to think through what the right mobile strategy is, or a combination of both. And a lot of our customers do provide web-based video experiences, but then also on top of that, they have very specific app experiences they build for, say, individual properties or individual products even, or a specific series or what have you, where you really want to get that next level of intimacy with the audience, and you want them using that app over and over again, and having much more engagement in that sense. But I hope that is a start.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Patrick, have you guys done anything different for mobile with regard to search or social? Or is it?
I mean, we have both a mobile site and we have a couple different apps, but nothing particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your stuff's so funny, it tends to lend itself really well to social anyway, but I imagine in the mobile device, it's even more important to make sure there's a Twitter button and make sure there's a like button and things like that.
Oh, yeah, for all that stuff, I mean, you can tweet it, Facebook, Tumblr, whatever, email it, anytime, whether it is our application or just our mobile site, all of those capabilities are readily available and easy to use.
Yeah.
And certainly at Feed Company with our campaigns and looking at the YouTube insight and analytics, as well as our own tracking and reporting, we're seeing a lot more views come in through mobile year over year. It's been steadily increasing, and we expect it to continue to increase if everybody in this room thinks about how often they use a mobile device and versus a computer. I take an iPad on trips now, and it's I imagine I could be fully mobile and untethered from the computer forever pretty soon. It's kind of my goal, but
yeah, we see the same thing. I mean, since the beginning of this year especially, we've seen a rapid increase in views coming from mobile. So.
Yeah. Well, I want to leave a lot of time for Q&A, and I certainly have more questions. We've got about 20 minutes left, so I thought it's just if you had one or two strategies or tips that you could give to the audience in terms of where they should start or what they should focus on most, what might that be?
Well, I don't know how helpful it's going to be. Make great content. Package it well for search, and then get a lot of views. Views, and that's what we do. But views, the more popular, I think beats relevance. We've had campaigns, and videos that millions and millions of views, in a couple of weeks' time, and it's incredible. Google, the results on a organic basis, on a and sometimes we're right up, our videos right up to where the brand advertiser that spent millions and millions and millions of dollars in SEO, suddenly there's a video that's right next to that search result on the first page of Google, and you can't. That's just such a valuable experience for the brand, and it's all driven by one video that was made creatively and marketed creatively, and so video really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we don't have Google here to talk to this, but certainly on YouTube we know that views is a ranking factor. So actually driving views does help with search over time. I'm not certain whether or not Google is tracking in some way the number of views on your own website and having that be a factor, but certainly on YouTube.
It's a very, that's why, yeah. You always want to know what Google's up to, but the YouTube algorithm includes views, it includes viewing time, it includes social engagements, That's all wrapped up in their algorithm. So it's not just views. It's other activities as well around the video.
Yeah, and they do both support themselves in search. I mean, Google last year said for a fact they are, actually it might have been this year, they are using tweets and likes and now pluses in the algorithm. So the more that people share your content socially, the better that helps for search as well. How about you, Patrick? Is there something you'd encourage people to focus on with regard to search or social?
Yeah, I'll definitely echo what Josh said. It all starts with the content. Without having good content that's relevant, that people actually want to consume, then you really have no place to go. But once you feel like you have good content, I think it goes back to, if you build it, they actually won't come. You have to develop your distribution strategy. So if you believe in social, then you have to take the time to cultivate and develop your Twitter account, your Facebook account, your Tumblr account with good content, but then also by acquiring people. So we have 2.5 million people on Twitter, 1.2 million people on Facebook, 100,000 on Tumblr. That didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen just because Will Ferrell made a video with a kid. It happened for a lot of hard work and going back and forth of deciding who that audience was, how they wanted to be spoken to, how often they wanted to be spoken to, and then they're your great distribution. Then when you have something to send out, they're the people that go out and start cultivating your content and getting it out there. So it takes work, and the same on SEO. It can never be one and done. You have to take the time to understand what are the different variables on and off site that actually get your content searched and ranked. And you have to put the time in. These are long-term strategies. These aren't something that you just do, start today, and by the end of next month, they're done. You have to put the time in.
Yeah. I mean, with social, it's interesting because I don't even really do a good job of social on my own site. We auto-tweet things, we auto-like things. But, so if I hear you correctly, you're saying really maybe it's even a social media manager to not only help with that, but to actually foster and build the social media channels in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are on there 24/7. It started off as me, but I have a very small team still that are there every day talking to our communities and building the content, what they want to see and when they want to see it, just to get better at it. And they share, and then we grow. You have to provide a benefit on social media. It starts with your content, and then it ends with what's the emotional value it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But that your audience gets from following you.
Sure. How about you, Greg? Is there one thing or a few things you'd advise?
Yeah, definitely, and I echo what my fellow panelists are saying. Content is extremely important. But I also think it's probably worth thinking a little bit about a video strategy itself and the fact that there really is no one silver bullet you can fire and solve this problem and have the best performance. A video strategy really is made up of a lot of different pieces that work together. So I'd encourage you all to think about how are you building your library and how are you getting more content that can be viewed. How are you making sure that experience is at the highest quality it can be for your viewers, making sure the discovery is covered and things are easy to find. Your distribution strategy, again, extremely important. How do you want people to be able to find things? How do you want to grow that audience? What devices are important to you? How do you want to use those devices? How are you going to monetize that content, whether it's call to action or advertising or other means? And then again, measure everything, because in the end, if you're not measuring things, you don't know if you're winning or losing. So measure everything you're tweaking in your strategy and make sure it's all moving you forward. And that's kind of what I would leave you folks with.
Yeah,
That last part is super important, is measuring. We measure everything from time of day to how many characters.
Content, but if your site itself is not optimized, it's going to fare quite poorly. But let's go ahead and open it up to Q&A. Sure. Yeah. And feel free to ask if you've got technical questions as well. Maybe I can address those, and Patrick. Please, yeah.
With the focus on intelligence and analytics, I'm wondering, and we've got a fellow from Bright Cove up there who might address it as well. How do you organize all that intelligence? Are there dashboards available? I mean, there's a combination. I kind of asked this question in one of the last panels of how you take all these various components of the social networking organic growth with the ad targeting and being able to put resources that way. How do you discern that out? Is it mostly just intuitive, or are you actually, do you have tools developed, and are they consolidated in one place, or are they dispersed and a little bit fragmented? What's the best way to go forward with that? What are your thoughts?
Thanks. That's a great question. So a lot of our customers in our experience, they do this different ways, but there are some things that are consistent across the most successful organizations, and that is, they're taking advantage of usually a combination of tools that are available, and they are building dashboards and the data are dimensioned in a way that's meaningful to that organization, and they track that religiously. But as far as where that data comes from, a lot of times we're seeing it be a combination of analytic information we can provide as a platform, augmented by other analytics platforms, say like Omniture or Google Analytics, where that information, or going out to YouTube and looking at their analytics and consolidating that information in meaningful ways. But we haven't really seen, at least in my experience, we haven't seen anyone that's kind of has a one complete solution from one source that does everything. I think the most effective use of data I've seen has been a combination of things that are put together and used effectively. The information's there, it's out there. It's more a question of collecting it and building out those dashboards in the way that it has impact for your business, and tracking that as you make changes.
Yeah. Sure.
Pat Griffiths, Dolby Labs. You all made it very clear content is king, and clearly creative content, good story that people want to see is good. I think Patrick mentioned good content. My question concerns the role of quality in that goodness, particularly going forward. And it's interesting, being an audio guy, you all talk about video, but I assume those videos have some audio. So my question is, extrapolating to the future, what do you see in terms of the quality aspects for both higher resolution as well as perhaps more enhanced sound looking forward, particularly as consumers more and more begin to migrate to higher quality in their homes? Thoughts?
That's a great question. And while you're asking it, I was asking myself a question, which is, looking at and seeing of our campaigns how many people are choosing HD on YouTube. It's something we haven't looked into, and that's a stat that I'd like to check out. I don't have an answer for you on that. It seems to be really important to our clients. And they're obsessed about the quality, and sometimes I have to admit that we're not as much, because it's YouTube, and it's like the kind of content that we work with, as long as people are seeing it and the quality's okay, it's gonna work. But then you have certain types of creative that lends itself to, it needs to be more quality, and there's even distribution outlets like Vimeo, for example, is known as having a really quality output, and there's a certain type of campaign that might belong on certain different platforms that have a higher quality.
Yeah, how about you, Patrick? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely not close to a critical mass of people's expectations, in my opinion, towards it has to be in HD or the video has to be that way. I think their expectations are this is still the internet where kittens in boxes drive views. So people have those expectations. I think as more and more professional content providers get online, that might raise the bar a little bit, but I still, in my opinion, the majority of content consumed is user-generated, so that kind of still drives.
Yeah, I don't have any data to support this, but I would imagine that with social video, it's probably not as important to the viewer that the video be high quality. I think audio is always important.
There's a length dimension too. It's like the longer form content, obviously, is going to perform better if it's high def with superior sound and in a very engaging player experience, where short clips can be consumed in a very snacking kind of way, and it's a lot less important. to
Yeah,
have
because
it.
probably your expectations turn from online video to television, right?
And there's a device dimension, to your point. So, whether you're watching on an iPad or a connected TV where you're going to expect a high-def experience, if you're connecting on your smartphone, it's a different expectation.
Do you guys, Patrick, do you guys syndicate your videos to YouTube with the same quality that you have on your own website?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we still want them to have a good overall brand experience for Funny or Die. And the only thing that we do differently is we put pre-rolls on YouTube. We don't have pre-rolls on Funny or Die.
Great. Yes?
Hi, Scott Connor from ESPN. I was wondering what type of different seeding strategies you might use for live content versus VOD, where the window of opportunity is much, much smaller.
That's a great question. We don't deal with live content. These are pre-completed videos that we get from advertisers, so we don't deal with live. So I can't really speak to that. But just thinking about it, it's a real challenge. It's appointment viewing. It's appointment viewing on the web, and we have a similar kind of challenge when we're dealing with web series, because you're actually trying to get people to come back, and I know that's a real challenge.
Do you guys see that?
Not much of an answer, but that's.
Yeah, either of you guys?
Yeah, I think in terms of, we do see a tremendous amount of live events going on, and more every month. And so there's definitely a growing importance to live as being part of the video mix.
Yeah,
But,
imagine with live, you gotta go out and get your placeholders, right? You gotta go out and get your distribution, your points of audiences that are really interested in what you have, and try to secure some launching pads that are repeatable, and then really work the social outreach aspect, and the PR editorial. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Just for us, like we've done one or two live events that we try to do, like a Twitter takeover where Judd Apatow's come and started taking questions from our Twitter account and stuff like that. And it really wasn't. It was less of a seeding and more of an awareness strategy. So because we were trying to drive everyone to Funny or Die was the only place that you could watch it. So that's when we, leveraged all of our social media channels to let them know a couple days before that this was taking place, and then obviously a big push the morning of, and then when it went live. And then we also reached out to all of our bloggers that we felt this would be appropriate for their viewership, with like nice clean graphics, and Judd's going to be here at this time, blah, blah, blah. Appointment viewership is really, really hard online because people are used to digesting content when and where they want. So I think it's about driving it to that event, but then also chapterizing that event later on and archiving it and then distributing that afterward. I think that's where you get the long tail.
Yeah, I imagine from ESPN, do you know roughly what percentage of people are viewing the live content versus the archives? Really? Well, yeah, I guess that's sporting events. Yeah.
You don't want to see it on archive. Sorry. Yeah, no one wants to see a sporting event that's over and they can.
Sure, you already know who won, yeah.
So the vast majority of our content is viewed live.
Yeah, not the most brilliant question from me.
What's ESPN live streaming? Is it just games and stuff?
We have ESPN 3, which is available from your ISP, which has more of a mostly niche sports, but it does have some simulcast from ESPN. But we also have the Watch ESPN product now, which is live streaming of ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU, and it's authenticated from your cable provider. So, trying to drive usage and awareness of, you can watch everything live on ESPN from your mobile device, from the web, but it's appointment viewing, and those are not available for replay, because the replay rights for the simulcast content is much more confusing than for some of the ESPN3 content we have.
Sure. I mean, in relation to the question asked earlier, if you don't mind if I ask you another question, how do you drive those viewers that aren't aware that they can go and watch the live event? What's the best, I guess, marketing tactic you guys have used?
For, what was it?
Yeah, well, for the people that aren't aware that ESPN has this live content, how do you notify them about it? Is it just traditional marketing, or is it offline on television saying, go here? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there's, every time ESPN ever advertises that this game is tonight, Sunday Night Baseball at 8, it also says streaming live on Watch ESPN. There's placeholders all over our website, but we're trying to get the people that aren't on our website. We've started reaching out to Facebook fan pages of teams that will be playing in a game tonight, trying to get them to know that, this game is available on ESPN3, tell all your fans. So, we're trying to find where these people are at that don't know that they have access to this content. Because it's a big...
Live player? Can you embed that player on another site at all?
Not right now.
No.
Yeah, I wonder if that's an opportunity for Facebook, because if they've whitelisted players, you could have the player with the monetization in it. But great. Any other questions? Sure.
Just curious if you got, how you're acquiring new viewers.
The fact that YouTube, well, I'm really loud now. The fact that YouTube is now the second largest search engine, does that play into, using YouTube? I like what you were saying about using YouTube, to acquire people for a period of time, but I'm curious how that affects anything that you're doing.
I don't know if you guys, I'm not sure I understood the question entirely.
People are starting in YouTube to do their search.
Sure.
Right.
They're not going
how
to
do you bring
Google
them back to
do
your
their
website?
search. They're starting in YouTube to do their search.
Sure.
Yeah, for Funny or Die, we probably miss out on a lot of people that are going to YouTube and searching, I'll always just use Will Ferrell, because they'll find other things like Saturday Night Live stuff, and they'll never find too much, they'll find some of our videos on there, but again, we pull them off, so we probably miss out a lot on people discovering Funny or Die on YouTube, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for Funny or Die.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few clients that at first are kind of reluctant to put stuff on YouTube, either because of their fear of cannibalization within search results, or, we want them to come to our site, that's where we're monetizing this content. And I guess that's where various strategies can be involved. But the fact that YouTube is just so huge, to me, it seems a mistake not to be there, because there is a captive audience that isn't going to come to your website anyway. And so if there's some way to get exposure to them, whether it's just awareness of your brand, or whether you're even advertising against your own content, hey, watch this full episode on our site.
Yeah, go where the audience is. Yeah. And it doesn't only have to be YouTube, wherever it is.
Right.
No.
Yeah, because
That's what that's our mantra, which is you gotta go find the audience. You can't lay back. So whatever that means.
Yeah, we would advise a lot of folks I've talked to in meetings and stuff that are really dependent on YouTube as their sole source of publishing video.
Right.
And usually the thing that resonates with them is to say, well, YouTube is not a video strategy. It's a destination site, right? So it's part of your video strategy, but it's not your whole video strategy. So you have to think about how to make use of that huge audience and that powerful search capability, and then drive a business result with it, because that's what you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's a little bit challenging for Funny or Die type of property, is that YouTube wants to be a network, and that's where they're going. So that's a whole other panel. But
They want celebrity videos.
They want celebrity videos, and I mean, the moves that they're making in public and behind the scenes are all pointing to they want to be, they're going to be making that switch pretty soon, I would imagine.
One strategy I have seen that has worked for the particular client that I had, and I'm curious if you've thought of this, Patrick, or if you've done this, is they have their videos up there, but they're also advertising against related content, and in some cases competitors' content. So when those videos pop up, they'll have an ad on there that says, come watch these videos on our website, and I've seen some of that work. But I think they said we could go 5 minutes over, so we have time for one or two more questions. I think we got,
Hi, this is Marco Parente from Nielsen. So there actually is an initiative, YouTube partner program, where they're trying to make that switch right now, where they will actually, they're sharing revenue, but also the data, the viewing activity on YouTube is actually being credited in Nielsen reports and ComScore reports. So it is, a potential strategy going forward where that viewing activity you will get on YouTube will be credited. You'll have your branding on your channel. You'll have the ability to drill down and create granular reporting. So it's something that is, we're going to be seeing soon, that you will see an improvement.
Love to hear more about that. We are eagerly awaiting that.
Yeah, so is that different than the ComScore video metrics channel reporting?
No, it's the same program. So ComScore has released it, I think, a few months ago. Nielsen, we're coming out in Q1 with similar reporting. So we'll have thousands of partners, activity that will be reported in our syndicated tools.
And will you actually attribute that to, if they have a destination website, their overall Nielsen?
Yeah, so we're figuring that out right now. The default is that activity is actually credited to YouTube, but there are some scenarios where we will reallocate the crediting to the specific publisher's entity in our reports. So we're working on that model right now.
So you're pulling YouTube data in on a channel basis, or
exactly.
Can it be how about an individual video basis?
Well, we collect the data down to an individual video basis. We don't report that because there's not enough data in the sample to do that. But we are breaking it out by specific, what they call owners or channels. So you could have, like an MTV channel, and then you have specific artist pages and break it out that granular.
Are there any that are in the top channels report that are more reliant upon traffic to their own site, and now are seeing that YouTube's a big benefit to them, whereas maybe they were reluctant before? Or are they typically YouTube partner channels where the content's specifically designed for YouTube?
It's actually the former. So I think YouTube has an initiative going forward to create original content in YouTube and use that same model. But we are seeing a lot of existing partners, Machinima, for example, that are rising on the top of the reports. So when you look at channels overall, for example, in our top 10 ranker report for channels, I think about over four of them are actually YouTube channels when you look across the whole internet for video streaming.
Great. Thanks. Let's do one more and then we'll wrap it up here.
Hi, John Sorensen, Grace Creek Media. We're working on a big oral history video project for the web, and we're actually using Brightcove as our video player for the site. And our approach is to create an HTML5 site that's, rather than creating apps or mobile versions of the site, we're trying to create one site that plays on as many places as possible, as well as possible. And just one of the things we're struggling with on the iPad platform is, the video plays great, but it's stripping away a lot of the linking and social media functions that are part of the player that comes with Brightcove. And I'm just curious if people have thought about, it's partially a technical design question, is how are people dealing with the Facebook liking and tweeting and embedding functions to get around that stripping of the player wrappers of the video?
I guess that one's for me.
Yep. Yeah, that's you. That's not for me.
I'd make a couple of comments on that, and it's a great question, and it does capture a lot of kind of the current state of HTML5, I guess, is how I'd put it. And that's a technology that's changing and growing. It's probably, you could draw an analogy to where Flash was 5 years ago, right? And that's where HTML5 is now. And sooner or later, as that technology is more widely adopted and continues to be developed by vendors like us and others, you're going to see that get better. And we're already making strides in that area, especially in terms of advertising integration and some of the things you've seen from us in the past month or two in our HTML5 environment. And that's going to continue to get better and more advanced. I think, in the short term, the bad news is you kind of have to work around some of those limitations with development, and that's the short-term fix. But I think in the long term, we're going to move towards a world where HTML5 has complete parity to what we used to expect from, say, Flash environments, and that'll be great when we get there.
Well, thank you all very much. We're about 5 minutes past, so thank you for attending.